Hey, what's up, everybody? It's video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so just kind of want to give you some takeaways from day one of preseason. You know, I'm freestyling, so I'm going completely off the top of my head, and this is not a great memory, but there were some things that stood out that I thought were pretty damn cool. One thing that I want to start off by saying is I'm really excited about the entire league this year. Having done a little studying on all these teams with my talk video series, I can honestly say that this is one of the most competitive years of basketball that I've seen. Now, granted, you do have two juggernauts at the top, but even those juggernauts are subject to having issues dealing with COVID protocol or injuries and things of that nature. And it's going to come down to who's deep, who's in a position to outsmart the other team. Obviously, all the basics. But most importantly, it's all about health, man. Who can stay healthy is going to make a difference. And I like some of the depth that I see. There's some really deep teams out there. The Boston Celtics have a very deep bench. The Atlanta Hawks, I think, are the deepest team in the basketball right now. The Lakers have a lot of good depth but could use some more size on their bench. That's one thing that I've noticed. After that big three center situation, what the Lakers were running out there was a lot of small players, back of the bench players that are trying to give opportunities to. But I think the issue that I saw was we didn't give them a center. We sort of pulled the Houston Rockets on them and left them out there without a big man. And when you do that, you're not going to make the guys that you're trying to take a look at look good, because they're down there getting offensive, getting manhandled on the boards offensively and defensively. And there was just a whole lot of that. So for me, I know that teams tend to do this because you want to take a good look at all of the players that you got to choose from in order to, figure out who you want to cut. But the problem with going about it the way that some of these teams do it is you tend to put those players all on the floor at the same time to look at them together. But that doesn't really accentuate what it is that they do best. That doesn't put them in a position to take advantage of strengths that they can use in a pick and roll, because they don't have a center down there. They're running with another guy who plays their position, and that's just not going to make them look good. That's not a cohesive look. So things like that stood out for me. I just want to see teams in general, when you're trying to put together these rosters and trying to figure out who's the best players on the back of your bench, make sure you give yourself the best opportunity to see those players in multiple settings that look good, you know what I mean, and settings that are imbalanced as well, so that you can get an assessment for how well the player improvises in situations that I just described, as well as how a player is going to look when they're doing what it is that they're basically supposed to be doing. And I think a lot of times they neglect that second layer. You want to see guys look good. You don't just want to toss them out there and say, well, yeah, he outplayed that guy because when they were on the floor together, they went hard. No, that guy's supposed to be on the floor with these set of players so he can accentuate his strengths, and this guy needs to be on the floor with those set of players so he can do the same. So it's like they shouldn't be on the floor together in some cases, but you got to try to assess everybody. So that's just something I wanted to take a look at, and that I took a look at and saw that I'd like to see kind of a little more balance there, particularly from my squad. Little stuff that I took away, like, for example, my concern in Charlotte is the Book Night kid. It's not that he's not any good. He's great. It's just he's score first, ISO based. He can pass. I did a little homework on the kid, and he does pass the rock some. But there were situations in the highlights that I saw with Charlotte was more of the same from him that we saw in Summer League. And I just think it's going to be a very tough road for that particular player, because he's on a team with a player like LaMelo Ball, which means, and players like Mason Plumlee, who are going to be looking to move the ball, stuff like that, players who are going to be looking to be unselfish. And you have this kid who, in a lot of situations where you want him to be unselfish, he going after his own. He just don't know the feel of getting others involved, and it comes off as selfish to me, and it comes off as selfish to some others during the Summer League. So I understand it, though. He's a score first player in early stage development. You have to teach him how to see the pass as a weapon that will open up the game for him offensively. Once you start understanding how well the pass can work for you and that assists count too, you could put yourself in a position to be so much more liked as a basketball player. And I think that's what he's going to run into. It's just not an era for your Kobe guys. It's not an era for your Iversons. We don't want to see that. We want to see ball movement and scoring, a balance of that. LeBron James basically sucked the life out of the ISO game, man. We don't want to even. It's hard to watch these days for me. ISO players, especially ball hogging ISO players. And I say it with an affinity because I like, some of those players that have come up. I mean, some of the greatest players of all times had that particular strength. But all of those players were called selfish. All of those players had played in an era where it wasn't shunned to be that way. So that's what I noticed. There's some score first guys out there who are going to have to, if they want to stay in this league, they're going to have to learn how to make others better naturally. You got to work that into your equation. It's almost like the 3-point game as it pertains to the last 12 years. You used to be able to get away with not being able to shoot. Now it's probably best, even if you can't shoot, to be trying to learn. I feel the same way about the pass. If you were one of them score first guys, I'm gonna break you down. And I'm looking others off. I don't care if I got an open man in the corner. I'm gonna try this impossible acrobatic layup. You're not gonna make it in this league. And in my opinion, when you get a player like that, you need the right coaching to kind of help him understand why it's important that he work on that particular weakness to stay in NBA basketball contention. Because otherwise, I'm telling you, players like that are gonna be obsolete. It just ain't gonna be no room for those guys. So that's what I think. He's not the only one out there, but he's the one that stood out. He's the one that's kind of going to be the one we pay attention to because he's stuck next to Melo, and it's gonna be a grave mistake thinking that he's supposed to be a facilitator just because of his height and size. They did the same thing with Kobe White. They've done it with other players as well. No. When a guy is score first, you just gotta let him be a score first. Now the best thing about score first players is they tend to work well in second units, and because second units tend to be lesser talented players, they tend to look even better in situations where they're otherwise coming off the bench. That's going to be the mold that I think they give him in Charlotte for the time being, until he learns how to really facilitate, until he becomes more of a field-based facilitating presence, secondarily, of course. It's going to be hard to keep him out there with the other big guys, the other guys who are really, really good like he is. It's going to be hard keeping him on the floor because he's going to take possessions away from the other shooters. So that's just something I noticed about that particular player. But I'm rooting for him. I like his game, and I know when he fully develops, he's going to be crazy great. He just has to. He's going to have to shake off the selfish moniker, the appearance of that. So that's one thing I took away. Another thing I took away. The Clippers got some good guys. Terrence Mann, year 3, looks excellent. They had a power forward down there. I don't remember his name, but he did a little spin move and then a jam. His footwork looked excellent. I think they got something. So the thing about the Clippers, and I said this in the video that I made about them, is that I really don't like their situation because they don't have a whole lot to play for. Being that they don't have their picks and they don't have Kawhi and they're stranglehold, they're kind of just running nothing out there. But if they can find guys on the back of their bench, if their farm system can help bring them talent that can help booster their bench and guys who can kind of step into roles that are supposed to be better than what they're supposed to be. If you can find those type of guys, you can make something of the season, make the playoffs, and feel good about yourself for the Clippers. So I'm curious to see if the Clippers can develop a couple of guys that maybe they get out of nowhere. Maybe some guys that they got on this team right now didn't look like they would have big roles. Maybe if you can find ways of making those particular guys break out, that situation can look a lot more attractive to me. But right now, they're in no man's land. Because even if they lose, they are not in a position to get anything out of it. So winning is basically most essential for this team. And with as I said, no Kawhi Leonard, it just really sucks. So I'm looking for something from the Clippers to be excited about. And I think they got a couple players on that roster that might do it for me. Trey Murphy's going to be amazing. I think the New Orleans Pelicans got a very good problem on their hands because they got shooting guards all over the place and they don't need them. I would hold on to Shai's cousin, Alexander Walker. I would definitely hold on to him. He's a real deal player. He should not be anything but paid if you're the New Orleans Pelicans. Save his money. Have it ready. I like the Najee Marshall kid. He looks great out there. So for me, the New Orleans Pelicans are a team that has a lot of upside, a lot of excitement surrounding their basketball club as it pertains to the players on the team that they just acquired in the draft. Just love who they've been picking up for the last several years. You got to give their GM all the credit in the world and their scouts all the credit in the world for, in the midst of the turmoil that they've been dealing with for the last several years, they've been finding pieces that fit Zion very well. They're finding players that complement and give them BI insurance. If they want to move on from BI, they have the player in place that can help them do that with Troy Murphy, in my opinion. He's going to be just as good as B.I., if not better, to be completely honest with you. I've already seen enough. That dude he's out of here. They just had to give him the minutes, and he has to start his career off healthy. His natural ability to shoot the ball, his length, is going to help him defensively. I would like to see him get better at making others better, maybe add a couple assists to his game over the years, but his shooting percentages are going to be what sends him above the rest of the pack over there in that New Orleans team. He's just simply the best shooter they got already. So I think it's going to be about conditioning for him in his rookie season. If he's not conditioned properly, he's not going to be able to take minutes away from those other guards. They got too many of them. Josh Hart. They got so many guards over there, Satoransky. But because he can play small forward as well, I think he's going to be the guy that comes off the bench for B.I. Of course, again, Najee Marshall's in the mix. So they got a lot of guys. They got some other guys as well. So it's like they're at a surplus for young talent at the small forward position, it seems, and it's a good thing to have. But that Troy Murphy kid is the best one of them all, in my opinion. He really is. Even better than B.I. He is. It's just going to be about him developing into that. And it's going to take some time. It is what it is. I think he'll complement B.I. well. They're basically twins out there in length and style of play. B.I. is much better off the dribble. He's more of a ball handler in theory, but for me, it's not about that. It's just about the overall shooting percentages, potential of this kid who's fantastic from the line, three-point line, and mid-range, and he's a fantastic finisher with athleticism and length all over the place, can help him defensively. I think the world of that kid, and I think he has a chance to be Rookie of the Year if he gets the biggest role for those shooting guards in that team. If he starts and gets 30-plus minutes, he can be in the mix for Rookie of the Year. He'll be one top 5 Rookie of the Year player, no question about it. So that's one thing that I took away. What else? There's so much to talk about, and I did not look at everything that I should have before making this video. But I did see all the highlights from all the games. As I said, Atlanta's deep. Can't wait to see what they're going to run out there. Sharif Cooper makes a difference. Johnson makes a difference. They got so much talent. It's just about who they're going to play at the right time. They, in my opinion, probably would benefit from a trade of some degree just to kind of condense some of that talent, because at the end of the day, even though you're deep, you don't want to be too deep to where you have a bunch of players that should be doing more, not doing anything, and sitting on the back of your bench, draining themselves of value. I think that could be an issue in Atlanta. They got everything that they need, but the problem is they still aren't going to beat the Nets. They still aren't going to beat Milwaukee, in my opinion. So to be that deep and to still not have an answer for Giannis, to still not have an answer for what it is that the Nets are going to put to the table, I just think that they can make a trade, probably get better. Now, what type of trade, I don't know. That they need to get better isn't necessarily the case. But like I said, you can only play 5 players at a time. So, yeah, Atlanta could beat everybody if they could run 12 players on the floor at the same time. But being that they have to choose 5, it's going to be really tough for them. It's going to be tough. But it's a good problem to have. They got all the talent in the world. I did underestimate Boston. I think the bench is going to be great. I like their team a lot more than I did when I made their video because of how good they are top-heavy wise. And then the first several players off of their bench are fantastic as well. Dennis Schroeder. They're going to have a fantastic year. I think Boston's going to be better than I thought. Let's see. Some other stuff, too. I can't wait for the Rockets. Obviously, I got to do a video on the Rockets. And the only team I have yet to do a video on, and the reason why is because I was kind of holding off, hoping that they would make a trade for Ben Simmons. That has yet to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen. And if he does get traded, I'm not sure Houston would ultimately be the landing space. And the longer I think about it, it's probably best that they just stay where they're at. They have a good core of young players that are super young, the youngest team in maybe ever. And the thing about all of the players that they have is there's about 5 or 6 of them who could be all-stars or even higher level players than that someday. I look at Porter. I don't see no cap on him. He could be the greatest ever, like literally. Same thing with Jalen Green. I don't see no cap on those guys. Christian Wood is going to turn into a young, big-time center power forward combination player. He's already made a name for himself. I think he's going to step into star status very soon and ascend from there. Alperen Sengun is a very high-level rookie as well. Can't wait to see what he's going to bring to the table. I love the role that they have for him because that was the role that Kelly Olynyk flourished in last year. So you have to see good things for Alperen Sengun in that same role. I'm excited about the Pacers. Look, the Pacers are a team. Let me say this, and I said this in a video I made about them. They're a team that has talent that can really rival everybody. What they're lacking is excitement about that talent. That's the problem with the Pacers. If you just run their basketball team against other basketball teams, they're going to get some victories. They got plenty of talent. There's just no excitement there. There's nothing to say, let me tune into Pacers basketball this year. Nothing. And I want that to change. I hear that they're interested in Ben Simmons. I would take a swing at Ben Simmons if I'm the Pacers. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain, because at the end of the day, nobody cares about you. And you need to make a change for that. You need to change that. You need to change that. This is a team that has been in the finals in my lifetime. This is a team who's had some of the best players play. You know, Paul George played there in his best years. Reggie Miller, obviously a fantastic player. Think about the Rick Smits tenure when he was fantastic there. They are a good team. They've had some good years. It's time for some excitement. And I like the players that they got. Malcolm Brogdon's excellent. Obviously I love Sabonis, fantastic. A guy like Miles Turner been excellent for a long time. Hopefully my guy Caris LeVert can have a fantastic year. So you see talent everywhere. There's talent all over this team. The Chris Doherty kid, I think Doherty's going to step in and be ready. He's an older rookie who can shoot like crazy, so he should be ready to go. They got talent. I'm telling you, the Pacers don't suck. It's just literally no reason for a average casual fan to say, let me tune in. Just literally. And let's see who they're playing is what you're going to say. And that's not right. They got enough exciting players in terms of guys who can help you win to where that shouldn't be the case. They're a better team than Minnesota, but you'd rather see Minnesota. They're a better team than the Rockets right now, but you definitely want to see the Rockets. They're a better team than maybe, who else? I don't know. There's some teams out there that you would much rather see, like say the Raptors. I want to watch the Raptors before I watch the Pacers, but the Pacers have a better team, so I want to see the Pacers do something to instill some life in their situation and ultimately bring some people to watching them, and I think Ben Simmons will definitely do that. Definitely do that. So, yeah, I'd like to see them make a move like that. I think that would be great for them. What else, man? Dallas does not have enough talent. Dallas does not have enough talent. I understand that in theory, you can put Luka out there and say, go Iverson it for me. Because his game is predicated on not only making others better, but ultimately going to get it himself every single time. And he can do it all game long for 82 games if necessary. The problem is, when it gets to the playoffs, he needs help, man. Dallas, I like the Green kid. I think Green is going to have a big role. And if, it's one of those situations where it's like, because of the situation Green is in, I can totally see him also having an opportunity to step in and be a Rookie of the Year candidate. Just because of the circumstance. Not necessarily because he steps out and is better than anybody else, but because he's going to be asked to probably do a lot, in my opinion. Now, granted, they got some guys in this position. You got Hardaway's there. You got Bullock there. So it's not like he's by himself, like, say, Scotty Barnes. But what I'm saying is, if he can step out and break out, he'll step in front of those guys because they need him to, is what I'm essentially saying to you. So, yeah, Porzingis is fantastic. He looks healthy. I'm optimistic he'll be fine. My concern at this point is just his health, as always. So that's the first half of what I got to say. I got plenty more to share with you guys. I'm going to go take care of some business, come back and do another video on this. I thank you guys for watching. My name is BO44.